Hi everyone, Ben Coomber Radio, episode number 96. Now we're back in the UK. We've had a lot of these US folks with funny accents on recently, so it's back to the roots. And I have what I would describe as a northerner. He'll probably tell me he's from the Midlands. Mr. Mark Coles, hello.
Ben, how are you?
I'm awesome. Are you a northerner or a Midlander?
East Midlander.
East Midlander. You're just north of me. So everyone further than like Cambridge from me is just northern.
Yeah. No. I'm happy with Midlands. I've got Yorkshire blood as well. So kind of in between the two.
If you're Yorkshire blood, does that mean you're as angry as Nick Mitchell?
Ask my trainers. The door's shut right now, and unless it opens, I think they'll probably leave me for the next 5 weeks until it opens. So yeah. So there, I think there's something about. I also think it's like a Leo temperament as well. So there we go.
Okay, got ya. So we better inform people of who on earth you are. I know who you are. For people that are listening, who is Mark Coles? What does this man do?
This man is a trainer. I like to call myself a coach more than anything. We can delve into that a little bit later. I own a business called M10, and I believe, and our results speak for themselves, and the model of personal training that we have, that we're one of the best personal training companies in the country. We specialise in exceeding people's expectations, and that's something that for me is a huge passion, and it's setting the standard, I believe, for what personal training should be in the UK, and showing people how they can get a return on the investment for a quality service, which I still believe to this day that is not yet there in the UK. We specialise more. I wouldn't say just in the results aspect of it, because results is what we do, but it's everything from the minute the client walks in the door. It's the service, it's the quality service that leads to that end result. And I've got 6 trainers that are working out of the gym here in Nottingham City Centre. And all of them, I'm very proud to say, are very skilled, one thing, they're very, very passionate about what they do.
Nice. See, we're already getting into some juicy info, and I'm going to derail my thought process of questions, because the first thing that you said to me, I think, was really poignant. And we were talking off air before we had the call, because we know each other fairly well from rooting around on courses and being in the industry. You mentioned about kind of exceeding people's expectations. There's an awful lot of personal trainers that are listening to this podcast and want to further themselves. Do you think many personal trainers excel or inspire their clients, or really know what it takes to create a successful personal training business?
Okay, so I said this to somebody the other day. When I first started personal training, I knew jack all. I do believe in the early days that whilst I wanted to help people get results, I didn't actually know enough. So I think my point here is that there's a very, very clear divide in the industry between the trainers that are educated and successful and passionate and developing in the industry, and the trainers basically coming out of the industry right at the beginning who really don't kind of know where they're going. So one of my first points just in this is, I do think that there should be a divide in this country between not just the prices that people train, but the kind of grading of personal trainers. I don't think there are enough personal trainers in the industry that are actually in it because they're passionate.
Yep.
I always ask a trainer that comes for any internships with me here, if I slice you in two, what does it say? Does it say bodybuilding? Does it say functional training? Does it say kettlebell? What is it about you as a personal training industry that it says? And very, very few can actually tell me what it is that makes them tick. And also at the early part of my career, I knew I wanted to get people in shape, but, I don't think a lot of people come into the industry knowing why they're there. I think, honestly, there's a lot of people in the industry who potentially have failed in other fields in life and ended up wearing a tracksuit and finding that they like being in the gym and let's get certified. But I don't think there's enough people that eat, sleep, and breathe what they do every day with a passion and a passion for achieving results that exceed their clients' expectations when they come to see them.
Nice. Because if you look at any industry, any individual, any practitioner that lives, breathes, and sleeps his work, and it becomes a part of him, becomes a very successful practitioner. Whether you're in marketing, property, finance, whatever it is, you've got to live and breathe it. Otherwise, you're not going to get there. So it was really interesting when you said you cut a trainer in half. I always ask people when I do coaching, I do internships as well with people, and I ask a similar thing in terms of I say to people, what are your values? And straight away, for me, if you're a personal trainer, the kind of values that you should have should probably, off the top of your head, just being an individual that cares, is maybe compassion, honesty, that you're passionate, some of those things. But no one ever says that, and no one ever really knows. But I find personal training is a business and coaching others is a business where you have to connect with people on various different levels to try and get the message across to enable them to change and get the result that you want.
I think that what I think, unfortunately, is when you also ask anybody who is someone who's hired a personal trainer. If we took 100 people and asked them, what does a personal trainer do? I don't actually think the industry's moved forward as a product. There's a lot of, you ask somebody what your property investor does versus an estate agent or a letting agent. There's different with it. Personal training, still in the UK, in my opinion, has the reputation of somebody that helps you work out. And one of the things that we did probably 5 years ago was call all of our trainers here coaches. Because in professional sport, if you're hired to win a trophy as a coach and you don't achieve the trophy for the team and you haven't done anything really to move the club forward, you'll get moved on. And there are a lot of people hiring personal trainers that have been with them for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and really that personal trainer is not a good investment. So what I do whenever I see a client here is I'll say, right, this is first and foremost is a business deal. You want something from me, I want something from you. I want my reputation to grow as a brand, but you want a result. We've got a time frame, and if you're not happy with the service that we're offering, I want you to be able to walk away. And I want for us to be able to say, if it's your fault, what happened? If it was our fault, which it very, very, very rarely is, what we could have done better. And I think as a business, that in itself, what we're doing here, helps people move away from our gym, talk to their friends and say, this is what personal training is all about. This is a return on the investment that I'm paying for. Not only am I seeing results, and that result might be just losing, they come in with a weight loss goal or a photo shoot goal, or it just might be a health goal. Whatever it is, it's achieved. And there's a time frame to achieve that. But in the industry, people are still seeing personal training as somewhere you go, someone you hire just to help you feel a bit better or get in shape. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's why I'm bringing in my coaches to help push that message in the locality that we're at right now in Nottingham.
So you're talking about your coaches. Whenever I go to a seminar and I bump into you, your coaches are always there. And, but that's a brilliant thing because there's not many personal training gyms around the country that are really making an effort to excel themselves, and you're trying to excel themselves in all areas of your knowledge. And you're not just attending these seminars and trying to trickle a few things down to your trainers. You're, encouraging that kind of learning process. And you mentioned about personal trainers hiring other people and people hiring personal trainers. I think the biggest thing that you can do in any industry is try and learn as quickly as possible from someone that is highly successful in their field. And this is where I look at courses and people say to me that, like, Ben, do you value a degree? Do you value this course? And I'm like, yeah, if you want to learn X, Y, and Z. But if you want to just get in there, start to make a real difference to your clients and your business as quickly as possible, go and spend an hour on Skype with Mark Coles, with Phil Learning, with Nick Mitchell, whoever it might be, because that hour might cost you, I don't know, let's say £100. You will learn so many pearls from that hour, it will eclipse what you'll learn in a course over a weekend that might cost you 600.
Very true.
And I can imagine it's something that I still do. I still pay for people's time via Skype. and I can imagine you do the same now because you want, even now, you want very specific knowledge. You want an outcome for your time and money investment.
Well, I said body power this year when I lectured. In the last 10 to 12 years, I reckon I've probably spent between 75 and 90,000 pounds on education. Now, that's between 6 and 8 grand a year, and that would be 4, 5, sometimes 6 courses a year. But not just courses. I'm paying for professional time. You know, I've Skyped with John Meadows. I've Skyped with. I've had various consults with Charles Poliquin over the years. I have some great friends in the industry that I spend a lot of time with. I was over at Tampa at a seminar and hooked up with Ben Pekulski for some time with him. And I pay these people what they charge. You know, if people are charging $250 an hour, £300 an hour, I don't mind paying it, because it's not only the fact that it has a direct implication on what I earn, but every time I spend time with somebody that I respect, value their knowledge immensely, it improves me as a coach, like beyond belief. And that's one of the things that we do here with the guys is, you know, when I go on a course, the reason they come with me is because they value why I'm going. You know, and I'm still, 15 years in the industry, still studying, and still done 4 or 5 courses this year already. And I don't go on courses necessarily just to listen to the information. You know, we had, I was over in Tampa and went out for a meal with Jacob Wilson and Brad Schoenfeld. I went out for a meal with these guys, sat and shut my mouth and listened to these guys talk, and learned more than I ever did possibly on the seminar that I was at. We had Brian Walsh over here, and we went out for a meal with Brian Walsh, myself and Phil Graham. The guy's knowledge is insane, but you take these people out for some food, you spend some time with them, and you're putting yourself in an environment which, I still put myself in environments that scare the crap out of me. But these environments are places where I'm actually going to meet people that know a lot more than me. And I think one of the keys for me developing in the industry over the time frame that I have is that I'm not frightened to ever go anywhere and talk to anyone and approach anyone who knows a lot more than me, and just be me. And hopefully they'll share some information with me that's going to have a huge impact in my business. From a business perspective, whether it's a millionaire, billionaire client that I've had over the years that I've actually, I had 2 or 3 of my clients that I asked mentor me, and they mentored me for 3-6 months at a time and tore my business to pieces. And every second week I'd go back and talk to them about the business and things that they'd asked me to do, and it had a positive impact. So, I have trainers come for internships here who've been in the industry 5, 6, 7 years. And I'm no joke here, Ben, they've been on 2 courses. And I might be excessive in the fact that I want my level of success potentially a little bit more than other people's, but these people are sat asking me why they can't get results. And going on a course is not just the information you pick up, it's the stepping stones towards becoming better. It's basically, as you'll know yourself, that toolbox that we both have that makes up what we do as a coach isn't from a course. It's the nuggets you pick up from people over the years. And when people ask me, what's your fat loss system? I've not got one. I've got lots of tools. When I write a program for somebody, it will vary so often with the tools that I've got at my disposal. So, yes, I have a formula in my head that I kind of like to work from, but then it moves from there. So basically, I've collected all this information from people over the years, and I just don't think trainers, I think they want to cut corners and charge a lot more, and they don't deserve to.
I think also the thing you talk about, the other areas that you get off courses, I think the things that trainers miss is that you can't be scared to look foolish in front of other people, because people don't ask or go out of their way to do things because they're scared of looking vulnerable or weak. And then secondly, people are almost complacent to be inspired. Like sometimes when you go on courses, you might not learn anything, but you just get like that little nudge, that little bit of inspiration to go, yeah, you know what, I do love this industry, I do love my job, I do love helping people, I do love that system that I use. So sometimes you're right, it's not just about the education, because however great you are, we all need our inspiration and our motivation from other people sometimes. We all And that might be family, it might be friends, it might be mentors, it might be business partners.
But do you remember? Okay, you might be the big fish. I've said this on Facebook before, and it got some obscene amount of interest. Every trainer is the big fish in their gym. If you're working in a health club, you're the big fish in the gym. Come into my gym and let's challenge the knowledge that you've got. And you realize that you are so far off the mark and there is so far for you to come. Now, even my guys here, that's why we go on courses, because we still don't know enough. I don't know enough. I don't know anywhere near the information that I want to know. One thing that excites me in the industry is the next 10 years, the next, if I've met X amount of people that I've been inspired this year, who the hell am I going to meet next year if I keep moving forward? But the problem with a lot of trainers is they're seen as the big fish in their gym and in the health club, wherever they're working, and they think it's nice being this big fish. Well, try moving out of being the big fish and go into another gym and be the small fish for a while. You'll then realise what the actual big fish are doing, but the big fish aren't happy with what they know. So that's that evolving circle of, being a personal trainer who wants success is very stressful. And my guys here, before they adjusted to the way that I am, we're always trying to improve ourselves. I had some stressful moments where they sat down, they were like, dude, this is intense, because we're always talking about new stuff. We're always reading new stuff. We're always trying to see what courses are out there and information we can learn from. So, if you're not in an environment that kind of rattles you every day, that challenges you to learn a little bit more, then maybe you're in a stale environment. Maybe you need to move into another environment that challenges you a little bit further.
Nice. Awesome. I love it. Right, let's rewind a little bit. What first got you into the fitness world? Where did it come from?
Where did it come from? Well, I've played rugby for 23 years.
Good lad.
Rugby was a huge passion of mine. I loved training. I loved everything about it. I'd always trained. And a funny little story was, a good few months ago, I was at private school and I had a top box. And a good few months ago, I was around at my parents. And I opened up the top box, and must have been back from when I was 15, 16. I've not opened it, and in there's MD, Flex. Obviously I read these magazines, right?
Yeah.
So in my head, that subconscious, I was always reading it, and there's always something about bodies and being in shape and muscles that always was exciting to me. But I was going down the rugby route, and I stayed at that, and I stayed in shape, and it wasn't until I dislocated my left shoulder and did severe nerve damage, I couldn't really train. So I was on the treadmill just trying to pull a bit of body fat off, and out popped the abs. and yourself, when you play rugby, it's not necessarily an ab sport, unless you're at premiership level. To suddenly see my abs, I was like, I want to know a little bit more about this. And that's when I started delving into a little bit more of the fat loss. And that's when I quit university doing surveying. Family's in property, and I remember going to my dad in his office and telling him that I'd just taken out a loan to go do a personal training course, because I suddenly realised that being in the gym every day I had more passion for that than being at university studying surveying. And one of the things I always said to my dad, I always say to him still, is the day I wake up not enjoying what I do is the day I stop. And ever since I started personal training, I wake up and cannot wait to get going. In fact, sometimes I can't wait to get up in the morning that I don't want to go to bed. So I found my passion, and I knew I clicked. And from that day forward, I haven't looked back. So maybe getting an injury in rugby gave me that little impetus to be able to see what my body could do for itself, and it kind of flew from there. And here we are today.
Oh, nice. Now, we've already talked a bit about journeys and business, so let's tie this together. Give us a little idea of a time frame, quickly, of how you moved through the industry, what happened in terms of training, gyms, opening up a gym.
Okay, well, I am extremely independent. The guys will all say here, it's surprising that I probably have ever worked for anybody in my life, but I started off as a personal trainer at LA Fitness. Right back when LA Fitness as a personal training brand didn't have many personal trainers, especially up north. And I very quickly developed a client base. And before long, I kind of realised I got a bit of a knack of picking up clients. And the personal training managers in London recognised this and offered me the chance to manage the personal training at Newark gym. To which I built the trainers up, and then I got offered another club. And before I knew, I'd got the whole of the Midlands covering all the LA fitness clubs. And then that moved into a company which most people now know as Fitness Agents. And Fitness Agents, I was one of the first area managers, and I ran 23, 24 clubs, JJB, Fitness First, LA Fitness, and a few others. And I suddenly started to get this issue that they were basically putting bums on seats. And nothing against the business, that's their model, that's their brand, but I suddenly reined me back in and realised why I got into personal training, to help other people. And what I was doing was putting reasonably average personal trainers in health clubs, and not the quality that I believed should be out there. So at that point, I backed off, spoke to my father about how I go about opening my own facility, and we set a plan in place and opened up my own little 1,800 square foot gym. And it was just me on my own and 40 sessions a week. And then I got a lot of interest. And then from that interest grew to another trainer. And then before long, we had 5 or 6 trainers working out of an 1,800 square foot building. And then in business, I remember sitting down with one of my mentors, and I also sat down with my father, and I said, right, I want to open up in Nottingham City Centre. And they said, no chance. Because you then got to show the bank. You've got to show the bank why you're worth lending this sort of money to. And that gave me another 2 years of hard work to really bring the business up to a really good point, really grow the brand and the marketing. Then approached the bank, and my passion was to work in the city, but my stepping stone was to have to work in a rural area first, because I wasn't in a position to approach the bank for the city sort of money that I needed. And 18 months ago, so one of my dreams came true, which was to have my flagship gym in the city centre of Nottingham, and it's a 5,500 square foot facility, and I have phenomenal trainers who are extremely passionate. And one thing that I'm doing right now, which is what I wanted to do when I first opened up my own gym, was to deliver a level of personal training which not only produced results, but produced results in a way that I think professional people deserve. And that's where we're at today.
Nice. Good journey. Good journey. Is it just the one gym? Because I swear you had, when I spoke to you last, you had 2 or were building the second.
Yeah. I had the first one, which was in Newark, but I have subsequently pulled that back. So we closed down the one in more rural area, and now we have the focus one in the city centre of Nottingham. So we're just out of the one facility at the moment.
Okay, and is that the plan, just to keep it like that?
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things, and I'll be absolutely honest with you, running 2 gyms. I'm still a coach. I love being in the gym. Obviously, I love training myself, and keeping the brand across 2 facilities is not impossible. But I'll say one thing: trainers that want to work in the city are a different breed of trainer that want to work in a rural area.
Okay.
I've seen it. Trainers in London, a little bit more driven, that want to be a bit more success, and I'm noticing in the city, especially, we're also getting a different level of client. So even though it was a stepping stone, my business and my brand and the standard of results we wanted was not necessarily happening as well in the rural area as it is now in a city centre. So the move to the city centre was a big step, big move for us. It proved very, very successful move. And if I was to do another project, it would be in another city.
Nice. So a lot of personal trainers, I reckon, have probably got the same dream as you have, to open up the gym, have that kind of dream flagship facility. But I would say, and we've already covered some of this, if you don't have the business nous, if you don't know how to build a brand, build something unique, for me, the gym's never really going to be the profitable dream that someone thinks it is, because it's not easy. So, what do you think are some of the pros and the cons of owning a gym, to give a bit of insight?
Okay, well, I think the first thing is that a trainer, it's a nice to have. People are like, oh, I want to open up my own gym. Okay, let's look at this for a quick second. When people want to open up their own gym, they've very rarely got a reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've got a good friend of mine, Phil Graham, in Ireland, and he's got a very, very good reputation. I'm sure, at one stage in his career, he'll own his own facility. But a good move to your own facility is to move with a reputation. So if people haven't built a brand, if people haven't built any level of reputation through social media or anything, and also, why would somebody want to come and train at your facility? We opened up Nottingham's gym with a lot of very, very good results. So we were able to market immediately to the Nottingham population that we're bringing something that Nottingham hasn't got to this city. Mm-hmm. And when a lot of trainers start their own facility up, they go from working in a health club with 10, 12, 14 trainers to being on their own. Well, I've done that, and it is the loneliest thing in the world. I've done a year and a half in my first gym on my own, 40 hours a week, absolutely brain dead. I'm not surrounding myself with people that would motivate me. I'm not surrounding myself with people that are training hard. And I actually slightly regressed as a coach. Probably I did about 8 to 10 courses that year just to go and get myself around people. The other thing that people do when they open up their own facility is they don't open it with a good enough blend of equipment. So they actually lose a lot of what they had in health clubs. So a lot of trainers move into a studio, and the mistake I made early doors was I went from a health club to a studio, and I didn't have a lot of equipment. And equipment means you're going to get a lot better results with your clients. And I certainly know with the facilities that we have here that the vast amount of equipment and various implements that we've got enhance the level of result that we get. So trainers could also devalue their brand and who they are by moving to a lesser facility just because they want to say they've got their own business. And then the last thing really for me is you don't make any money when you run your own business. Not for a long time. No, true, man. Like, honestly, I've got obviously 6 trainers now. I was talking to you off air about income streams and different things that I've got going on. And, I'm very, very proud of the position that we are in now as a business. But Jesus, it's been hard work. If you look at the rent that a building charges versus the amount of hours of personal training you do, you're not going to cover the rent on your own hours and have a holiday each year and have a nice car and have nice clothes and a nice social life. You're basically going to have to look at the business plan moving into getting your own facility with trainers on board from day one.
Yep.
And then it's obviously a case of where do you find the trainers from? So you've got to look at designing your facility around something that's going to be a catch for the trainers, because if they're going to come out of a really glitzy, glamoury health club that's got all the cons and lots of clients to a gym which has not got much equipment but it's yours, not many people are going to want to come and train with you. So I think a lot of people regress in personal training by wanting to own their own facility that is a very, very, very large percentage off where their clients were training. It just, if I had my time again, would I do anything differently? I certainly wouldn't have gone straight into owning just a little small studio on my own. I'd have probably had a little bit more business nous behind me to set something up a little bit bigger scale, and then make it somewhere that trainers want to come and work from. I was lucky enough to have people come on board with me, but as the guys say here in Nottingham, I don't think you'll find a better training facility for quite a few miles around here with the equipment that we've got and the standards way that we work. So it has its pros and cons.
Because I know an awful lot of gym owners that are opening up box, the evolution of CrossFit and people having small spaces and studios and stuff, it's growing very rapidly, and that kind of market will continue to grow as people see that actually that kind of business is quite accessible with 10, maybe 20 grand of fund that you might have saved up over a while. But I think exactly what you've said, unless you go into it with that kind of strategy of more than one income stream, you will be that guy that opens the gym at 6 a.m, does 4 hours work, does a bit of admin, cleans the gym floor, does the PT in the evening, does the boot camp class, and then goes home at 8 o'clock at night. And you'll love it for like the first year, and then you'll go, oh my God, can I have a holiday? I can't close the gym, I can't find the right staff. And it becomes very difficult. And I think just like personal training and being a PT in a gym, it has quite a short shelf life.
But I think I'm very fortunate is that my father's a very successful property investor. So therefore, he's a very, very good businessman. So we would always go for lunch every couple of Sundays and when me and my father meet up, it's business. As much as we have a fantastic relationship in other areas, he's one of my idols and a mentor and a best friend. And so he sits and he's always advised me, and we'll sit down and go, "How's things going?" And he'll be like, "Right, things are going well. Right, do you think you're ready to take another trainer on?" But then he's always said to me, "You earn money, you put a new plan in place, your income drops.
Yeah.
You wait for the money to come back up. You can put a new plan in place, and then it drops. Everything can be swimming here, and then suddenly the guys need 2 bits of kit, and there goes 10 grand. Whatever. Every time you want to do something new, the business will potentially take a hit before you then go past the next point and actually start to do better. So I don't know. It's just important in my eyes that before trainers make the plunge into owning their own business, they have a business plan. We had to produce a 5-year business plan to the bank, forecasts, which, I have an accountant, I have a fantastic team that work around me here, and a gym manager and some really good staff. But we produce 5-year, we've got amazing forecasts with the business. So if I sat down with trainers and showed them our weekly forecast that we work to, you'll know this yourself, you're a businessman. But, I sit down with trainers and just give them a glimpse of what we're looking at in terms of what sort of income we want to make next week, what strategies we want to put in place to make more income next week. Then when we've got spend going out, and trainers go, "Jesus, does it have to be that thorough?" And you're like, "Yeah, you got to forecast, and if your forecast is on track, then you're going to be making more money." And I just don't think that trainers have the business acumen, but they want the nice to have gym. And that's sadly where it doesn't move forward, because they haven't got a plan in place for it to slowly and gradually develop.
And then when people look at your accounts and you start to see, they start to see the turnover. So they might look at your monthly turnover and go, "Oh, that looks really brilliant. That looks really good. God, owning a gym's brilliant." And then they look down the secondary column, which is expenses, and they're like, "Oh, you have to pay for that." And then there's this VAT thing, and then there's this tax thing, and then there's everything else. And then you're right. I think once you scale a business, it's incredible how your knowledge has to keep it expanding to keep up with the kind of the risk factors and the secondary areas that you've got to think about. Otherwise, well, it will never work. It's as simple as that.
It doesn't, and that's where you also need to look at, again, going back to something you said earlier, what's the brand values, what's the brand standards? Because when you're going to hire trainers, I remember talking to a trainer recently, he said, "Oh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my gym up and I've got 2 trainers that are going to come on board." "Okay, so what do these guys do?" I said. And he said, "Well, one of them's really, really into his powerlifting. The next one's into his CrossFit or whatever, but they're really good guys." And I said, "Okay, so what are you here for your internship for?" And he went, "Well, I want to really get into body composition." "Oh, okay, great. So you've got one guy that's going to be doing strength training. You've got one that's going to be, running around doing CrossFit, bringing lots of people into the gym, and you got you that's doing something different. Do you not think that these are all going to be attracting different types of clientele? Because at the end of the day, from my perspective in my business, everyone that's on my gym floor is here for results. Whether it's abs or whether it's weight loss or whether it's health improvements, they're all here for results, and all my trainers are working for results. But the other thing here is this. 5 of my guys here either compete, do fitness modeling, do shoots, or whatever. Or the other ones are all improving their physiques. So when you come in the gym here, everybody walks their walk. So we've got 7 guys, including me, that are all presentable, passionate, delivering results in line with what we stand for. So we have a brand. So when you come in the gym, the guys, if they lined up, everyone would know they train. So we're delivering something across the board, which enhances the amount of results that we get. And this might be giving you a little bit of a tip away, but ultimately what we do is, if I'm able to get 2 transformations a month, right, from my work, if I have 6 guys doing that, then we have the potential to get 12, right? But if you have 1 CrossFit trainer, 1 powerlifting trainer, 1 weight loss specialist from big people, they're all doing different singing on different hymn sheets. So their brand's not going to grow because the exposure's going to be, they're going to be putting on Facebook and social media different bits about the CrossFit group going on, and then the walk in the park for the pregnant mums and all this sort of stuff. And it's just going to be so crisscrossy, you know. But what people see about my brand is consistency. We want to exceed people's expectations, and we deliver, and we put results out there, out to the marketplace. And that's why, in what my father cannot believe, in a market and a climate, we have continued to grow and grow and grow and grow. My gyms have been open 6 years, and every time my accounts have gone through, they're always increasing. And apparently people are saying that we've hit we hit recessions along those last 6 years. And the fitness industry, I think, if you nail it, you have a quality brand and a quality product, strong values, strong beliefs, if you're growing through something like that, you're obviously doing something right. Mm. And you'll know yourself, your academy is growing and growing. You know, it's something that people want.
Yep.
And if it's something that people want and you deliver it with authenticity, with brand values and standards, you don't compromise those, then they're going to tell a lot more people, because when they come in, they just get the same service. So, you know, I think it's very, very important that trainers get like-minded people alongside them, and they learn a lot more about the business aspects if they're going to go into, you know, creating their own facility.
So talking about trainers, do you have any ways, because Robert Husk, I put some shout outs on Facebook to ask anyone if they had any questions of you, because I know you have a few fans out there waiting in the wings. Robert Huskinson said, you've got an amazing gym, you've got an amazing bunch of trainers. How do you find the trainers that you've got? Because that's hard finding, and it's the same for me at Body Type Nutrition. It's really hard to find really good coaches that are driven.
Okay, that's a really, really good question, and I completely agree with you. It's very, very difficult. One of the things that I do when I interview trainers, a good percentage of the guys here will happily admit to you, when they first joined me or my team, their knowledge was nowhere near what it is right now. I hired them based on their own personal values and their passion to be better, right? I'm shallow, so I'll admit that I want guys in shape. That's a big thing for me.
Well, it's your brand.
Mate, if you come in here and all you do is Olympic lifting, then I'm not going to hire you. If you come in here and tell me that you want to go on stage, or you have a passion for just continually improving your physique and actually being somebody that stands for my passion, bodybuilding, physiques, being in shape, you know, it's one of M10's brand standards. If you're going to come here and you look like a twig, you're not going to fit in, you know, so that's an important thing to me. But the other thing is, when I interview anybody, you know, do I get on with them? Yep. You know, do we have similar values and passions in life? Now, they're not obviously, you know, more than likely not going to want to do what I do, but you know, I want a gym which has a great environment. I don't want attitudes. I don't want egos. I want guys that want to learn from each other. But more so, as I just said a second ago, if they're passionate to learn and develop and get better, then that is very, very important. And if I think I get on with them, the other thing for me is my clients range from people that can just about afford to train with us right through to people that could actually buy my business tomorrow morning, right? So you need to be a bit of a chameleon. You know, are you able to talk to somebody who's very, very introvert and then talk to somebody who's very, very extrovert? You know, and I have to be very careful in how I place my clients to ensure my clients get to work with the right coach. So in a nutshell, you know, I also, I watch trainers. You know, I especially locally and you know, from different gyms and different people I talk to, and I do get a lot of CVs from people, and I tell people to, you know, we're not necessarily opening up places right now, but it's very, very important for me to hire based on values, standards, their passion to improve, their own personal presentation, and what they have done in their career to try and bring a better them to the table. You know, trainers come for interviews and they go, I want to work here. Okay, so this might have been 3 or 6 months. Show me that you've developed in the industry. It may be a little bit, it may be a lot, but just show me continual improvements. You know, if you want to work in a facility like this and you've not studied, not done any development or education, then you're not going to get part of it. You know, all the guys here are relentlessly trying to get better and improve. So that's a big part for me. And sadly, there aren't many guys like that out there.
No, passion's hard to come by, and I think you could have skills, like you could have a degree in, I don't know, business, but unless you've got a passion for it, you'll never actually be good at it because you'll never constantly push yourself, you'll never explore new boundaries, you'll never try new techniques, you'll never put yourself into a vulnerable position because passion, I suppose, really trumps everything. And this is probably where we can get real good motivational quotes and information from people like Arnie Schwarzenegger and stuff, because all they ever went on about is if you've got passion, if you've got a drive, if you've got a willingness to do it, you'll do it. It's as simple as that. You'll find a way, you'll find someone to help you, you'll find the knowledge, you'll find a course. It's as simple as that.
But do you know what? Success is success, right? When I'm in the gym and I'm lifting weights, I nothing will stop me till I absolutely have done what I've intended to do in that training session. All my guys in the gym here train their arses off. They didn't necessarily train this intensity when they came in, but they certainly do now. And that's not because I make them, it's because of the environment that they spend all their time with. I've done many internships with trainers that their clients train harder than them. So the reason why you don't train harder than the gym is possibly because it's not your passion. Are you in the gym because you like working out? Well, great. Be one of the personal trainers that charges a little bit less and takes clients for a little jog and a little group class. But if you actually wanted to be a trainer that specialises in body composition or physiques or bodybuilding, then make sure people see that that's your passion. Because I tell you what, if you're training somebody that's worth a few quid, they're not stupid. And I think a lot of trainers think they are. They're very, very smart. Mm-hmm. And they can see that you're not passionate. And if they wonder why their retention rate is very, very poor, it's because the smart clients that they got can see straight through a person who's not passionate. Mm-hmm. They can see that. You know yourself, Ben. If you come across somebody that's giving it all the spiel and you say, this isn't you. If you've got a trainer that's trying to give the spiel to their clients about this and that and eating and training and they're not walking the walk, the client very, very quickly matches the two together and went, don't really think I've got the right trainer here. Mm-hmm. And then they move on, but the trainer thinks, they left because they're too busy or they can't afford it. 9 times out of 10, if a client leaves, it's more than likely the trainer's fault.
Yep, 100%.
So,
All right, well, let's get into a little bit of nutrition stuff before we hammer, the kind of business and life stuff too much, because I'm sure there'll be some people that want just a few nuggets. So I watched a video earlier. I didn't actually know you'd done much on YouTube. Is this a bit more of a recent thing, getting your mug on YouTube?
I do YouTube.
Oh, do you? I'm not up to scratch enough. I apologise.
That's fine.
Ollie Matthews said he posted a video and it was about, and this is a good topic, so I'm going to kind of transfer the topic that you talked about in the video onto the podcast. You were talking about fat loss on a budget.
Yeah.
And budget means average and is not a priority. And I think we've already actually covered some of the points in this podcast, but try and transfer some of the information from that video onto the podcast.
Okay. So, I'm not one for average. I don't like anything average. I always have in front of me things. I always have them, really. If there's something I want, I won't necessarily just go and buy the best of it, but I believe that, I don't place limitation in front of me, should I say. And anything that, people come to us and say, look, I really want to be in the best shape of my life. It means so much to me, but I can't afford it. Well, I kind of disagree with that because you're placing that limitation in front of you straight off the bat. And every time somebody says, I really can't afford it, but I want to be in the best shape, they've never been successful with this ever. Mm-hmm. But they want to cut corners by trying to make it more affordable for themselves. It doesn't work. Because I think it comes with that limitation mentality from day one. So, I mean, I go back to the video. You watched that recently, right? Mm-hmm. You watched it. Mm-hmm. So I think when I did it a little bit of a while ago, but I think I was mainly touching on the point of it being the limitation side of stuff and not placing the kind of average mindset that people have.
Mm-hmm.
Remember?
Yeah, no. Well, in terms of, I suppose if you're going to enter anything, it's like talking about success and the scenarios that you want to put yourself in. If you want to walk into a gym and they say, I like your results, Mark, I've kind of done it, but I see that you train most people 3 days a week. Well, I want those results, but I'm going to do it in, is it alright if I do it in 2 days a week? And then I don't really have enough money to spend on the food that you might want me to eat, but I can still get those results right. And I suppose, talking about business, talking about fat loss, all of this you have to go into the same mentality right from the outset and be prepared to put in the work, the time, the effort, the separation, the finances, and kind of make those priorities, regardless.
But I think like this, okay? People are going to jump when I say this. But I remember training one of the most successful NLP coaches in the country, and she worked with me for a long time. And I remember when I was 26, she said to me, "You can have anything you want in life, Mark." And I was a very, very limited mindset at that time. And I said, no, you can't. What about these people that are on housing benefit? What about these people that aren't working? And she was like, but they can have anything that they want. They just don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time you want anything in life, all you've got to do is place the right stepping stones in front of you and make small movements forward, and it'll happen. You might not get the car that you want of your dreams in 6 months' time. You might not get the house you want in 6 months' time, but people that make continual progress move forward in life and achieve things.
Mm-hmm.
And opportunities from that happen. Little things in life, by putting yourself out there more on social media like you and I do, we get opportunities to speak to people that we respect in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But you've done that many podcasts, I'm sure opportunities for you have come out of talking to these people that you admire and respect.
Yeah.
So, it's this whole thing about putting yourself out there. So when people come to me with a limited mindset, I don't train them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't tell them to just go away, but I give them a few little pointers and things that they can kind of open their mind, because, the people that want to do it on a budget, I guarantee they spend a fortune on clothes.
Yep.
I guarantee they spend a fortune on nights out and eating crap. The problem is they've not placed getting in shape a big enough priority in their life. And if you are coming to me as a personal trainer, or you're coming to anyone for advice, they're going to charge. So people are like, "Oh, I'm going to buy your 8-week physique ebook on the internet, Mark. How much is the food going to cost me? Because that's going to depend on whether I buy your program for $18.99. Do you know what I mean?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, mate, you eat every day anyway. There's absolutely no reason why you aren't going to be able to afford to do the program. Mm-hmm. And when I talk about doing fat loss on a budget, I don't mean suddenly, trying to provide a meal plan for somebody that creates the cheapest meat on the market, but it doesn't have to be expensive. So ultimately, the mindset that you come into the program will always dictate how well you do. And if you're open-minded, you will do really, really well. Because from my perspective, if 8, 10, 12 weeks down the line, your physique has changed, your confidence has changed, a lot of other things in your life will change as well. Mm-hmm. A hell of a lot. So, don't be limited. Don't have a limited mindset, and don't go about life with that average mentality. Because I think that is the problem with so many people. They're just locked in that, lack of self-respect, self-belief, and they don't really want the result.
See, this is a question I get a lot in the academy from trainers, because in the academy we talk an awful lot about nutrition and kind of the practical application of how to get a client better results, which is great. But what we're talking about now is how to actually just get that single trigger for a client to initiate that change. So they're kind of almost 80% bought in, but you need to try and trigger something to get that last 20%. And people always say to me, "Ben, well, how do I get this person to be more motivated?" And I say it's very hard for me to translate that information, but for me this becomes a great skill when you've coached an awful lot of people, you've been around an awful lot of character types, and can kind of almost listen and be aware of that emotional cue. So when they talk about something in their life that is of value, you can say, well, I'll tell you what, if you don't do this, that area of your life that you value right now is either going to deteriorate or is not going to be as fulfilling, that kind of stuff. So as soon as you can kind of get to that trigger, I remember coaching one guy, and it was something to do. He wanted to lose a lot of weight. I remember he talked a lot about his kids in the information that he gave me in the assessment, and I said, well, I'll be honest, you don't seem 100% bought in, but what would happen if you couldn't run around with your boy in 5 years' time on the football pitch? And it's little triggers like that I think coaches really need to find in people's lifestyles that will initiate that change.
You see, this is a big thing for me because I spend a lot of time with my guys on psychology. And I'll tell you a little key to this. Most trainers don't know themselves, which is why they can't coach others.
Whoa, nice.
That's true.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you for a fact, okay? The reason I talked a few minutes ago about NLP is because at 26, I don't mind telling your podcast listeners this, I didn't know who I was. I actually didn't know what I wanted to be, what I wanted to be known for, and I actually did a lot of searching. I did a lot of NLP. I did a lot of courses in London on psychology, removing the limiting beliefs that I had in my life and opening up my mind to the possibilities, endless possibilities that are there. I remember going on a 4-day seminar weekend that basically was exploring how every part of your life can be amazing. Mm-hmm. I know that's a real exciting word, but waking up in the morning and realizing that I don't think since the day I went on that course I've woken up and can possibly see a limitation in my life. Mm-hmm. Whereas a lot of trainers that I talk to have a lot of limiting belief in themselves. They don't value their knowledge. They don't respect themselves enough. They don't like their body or how the hell are you going to coach somebody else to change themselves? Mm-hmm. So when trainers go on courses to learn hypertrophy or bodybuilding or fat loss or hormones or medicine, whatever they do, how many trainers go and study psychology?
None.
Now, this is a big, big part for me because when I sit down with my trainers and I'm like, dude, I can see you on the gym floor and you're struggling to kind of get a relationship with the client, and they go, oh, they're just not training hard enough. I'm like, they will train hard enough. You're just not working at the relationship between you and them enough. Mm-hmm. So that's when we kind of backpedal a little bit, sit down with the client, work out their goals a little bit deeper, and don't just go into the whole goal setting and that sort of stuff. Work with the clients to kind of get into them a little bit more so that they can open up to us a little bit more about the whole reason why they're there in the first place. And the other thing that we do very, very, very successfully is when our clients come to see us, we have a questionnaires that we have clients to fill out. If they don't send them back before a consultation, I actually won't do the consultation, because I want the compliancy from the client before they start. Mm-hmm. And when the client comes into the office and they sit down and I say, well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do the consultation because you didn't fill out the form. They go, well, I'm here now. Can we do it? No. So we don't actually say to people, we won't train you. But there is a particular way and a particular type of client that the way that we address our clients that ensures we get results is because right from day one, we make sure that our clients are here with us because they want to change, not because someone's told them to change. And that's another big thing in the industry. There's a lot of people in gyms because they think they need to lose a little bit of weight, they think they need to get in shape, but it's actually not something that they really, really want. And, one of the things with social media is it allows us to build up, people always ask me, what should I have a website? Your website allows people to get to know you, allow people to know your thoughts. You do a lot of videos. People get to know Ben Coomber. Mm-hmm. So when they come to you and ask you for advice, you're probably going to get 95% of the people compliant because they've got to get to know Ben Coomber on YouTube, through his website, through his writings, through his lectures. And I talk to trainers and they don't write any articles, they don't talk about who they are. So clients are literally coming to see them to be sold to. And in the minute you have to sell to a client, that client's not with you for the right reasons. Mm-hmm. The minute that the client's coming in and saying, I want to hire your services, that's another little psychological tip that works really, really well. And building trust and compliancy with somebody comes right from them getting to know you through different avenues rather than just being told to train. So I think it's very, very important that trainers learn psychology. And more so, I think a trainer needs to do a little bit of soul searching into who they are, because they'll find that they're able to help coach other people when they actually understand where their clients are coming from.
No, massive. I would never be in the position that I am in now if I hadn't done exactly the same as you. I was a trainer, worked in a studio, worked in a gym as well. Went travelling, still didn't know what I wanted to do. It was still confusing. Then I went to university, and it was only through the process of being at university and this is the nice thing about uni, it exposes you to a lot of stuff as long as you get involved. If you just go to 3 lectures a week and then sleep the rest of the time and get shit-faced, then you're not going to experience life. But I did all the internships, I did all the extra courses, I worked 4 jobs, I saw the uni lifestyle, and it was in my second year I said, there's no way I want to get a degree, just get a job, and just kind of coast through it all. And that was when I found the business centre of the university, and it just inspired me to apply my nutritional passion and knowledge to a kind of greater degree. But I'm the same as you. I had to go through a bit of soul searching and find out what I really wanted as an individual and the things that drove me, because otherwise I'd do it for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. And did you know what? In gyms today, I always talk about this. You got superficial trainers. Now, bearing in mind, there's 2 types, right? There are very, very successful coaches out there, and there's types of coaches that will have a client ring up who is 100% compliant straight off the bat. Like, I get clients, I get trainers that ring me, they do Skypes with me, they book me for online training. I don't have to deal with the psychology because these people are in the right mindset. A lot of very successful coaches who work with bodybuilders, I doubt they very, very, very often had to work on the psychology of day-to-day people, because these top-end athletes, high athletes, any sport, bodybuilding, rugby, football, you name it, a lot of them are in a very, very strong psychological point. The problem is with a lot of trainers is that the client comes in the door, they do the hour, the client goes. The next time, the client comes in, the trainer does the hour, the client goes home. How often does the trainer sit down and say, what are the reasons this client's not doing well, and how am I going to chip away at that client to ensure that they change as well as their body? Because you can't change somebody's body without changing them. I don't agree in trainers saying, yeah, so long as you come training with me and follow my diet, it'll all work. Mm-hmm. The reason why somebody's fat in the first place is because of who they are right now. Mm-hmm. That person has to change themselves to become a better version of what they are right now. And if a trainer's not capable of doing that, they will have a conveyor belt of client after client after client getting very average results. And as I said, for us to exceed expectations and provide our clients with a return on the investment and a level of result that they want to achieve, we have to ensure that we help change them as well as change their body. So it's both together, and that's why I'm so proud of when I see our clients. They come in and they've got no effort. They don't know how to train hard, and 6 months later, these people are looking fantastic, training their asses off. But then their family at home have changed. Their husband's now in training. I love to see the whole package change, because as a person changes, it's longevity. But, people always say to me, and there's so many people see our 12-week transformations and they go, yeah, that's all good and well, but what about your clients afterwards? What people forget is week 1 to week 12 involves psychology as well. Mm-hmm. It involves changing them as well as their body. So that's why they don't go back. Mm-hmm. So I think you can do 12 to 16 weeks work with people where they change as a person as well. But I think people are comparing it to bodybuilding prep, where that person's already in the right psychological place anyway. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
I think this is where some of the arguments come from online in the fitness industry, especially with the different crowds and thought processes. And I always say to people, have you ever looked at the population that coach trains? Because it's totally different to the population in the context that we're now talking of. I talked about this on the podcast with Rachel last week, that when I did the Lane Norton tour, people said, well, how did you do a tour with Lane Norton? Because you guys kind of think a bit differently. And I'm like, no, we just come from totally different backgrounds. Lane works in contest prep, so the if it fits your macro mentality is perfect for contest prep individuals, because they're totally orthorexic about their diet and think that if they stray from clean eating, they're going to die. Whereas I work from people that I'm just trying to change habits, I'm trying to instill change, I'm trying to teach them about food, about timing of food, simple stuff. But because we don't talk about it because of our different kind of suppose, fan bases, you would call it, people think you've got opposing opinions.
Very, very true. And do you know what? I work with prep clients. I work with day-to-day people that want to do photo shoots. And we will have a lot of our clients in the gym who want to get shredding, right? And they have a completely different way of working with those types of clients than I do to somebody who wants to change who they are and their body in the process. So in my questionnaires, you click, you press A for gradual change and B for immediate change.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want immediate change, then we pull the pin.
Yeah.
And you follow what we do, and you don't bitch and moan, and you train your ass off, and you follow the plan. And if you do, then we switch you to the slow one. Mm-hmm. And they don't like being switched to the slow one.
Nope.
So if you come in and say to us, what's the result you want? I want to nail it, and I want to look shit hot. Right. You're getting the book thrown at you. You're going to get the whole lot. It's hard training. The diet's this, bang. Then we have the clients that a lot of people don't read about on Facebook, who we are spending day out, on helping them change. As you said, habits, lifestyle, nutrition, timing of food, quantities of food, what is food, what is protein, what is fat, mm-hmm. And people are just, so many people need that coaching aspect. And so when they look at our results and they see, somebody that we've done 20 weeks of work with, we might have had to spend a lot of time coaching them rather than just training them. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very difficult to write a testimonial up or write a piece up about the journey that we've gone through with that particular client. But people just see the results, but they forget that every single individual client has a different way of being approached.
Mark, I'm conscious that we've been rolling for an hour. This is turning into an epic ordeal.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, wow. When you get rolling on these things, it's nice because I know that there's so many of our thought processes that align really nicely, and that's why I think this conversation's flowed really nicely. But I'm also conscious we've talked absolutely zero about training and nutrition, which is often another theme of the podcast. So maybe we'll do another one in the future.
Yeah, well, I think this has definitely got a part 2 to it, and I thank you for the guys that asked the questions, and we will get round to those at another date. But I do think, on a final note, if you're a personal trainer and you're watching this podcast and you think we've rambled on a lot about psychology and business, there are 2 pretty good clues.
Yeah, massive clues. And if we can be that passionate about talking about both of those topics, people need to pick up on the fact that they're really, 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 really important. And perhaps even more important than just the basic nutrition and training stuff.
Very true. But then if you then say, Mark talks a lot about psychology and business, but then you go on Mark's page, my personal page, and the business page, and you see our results, then you possibly might think there's something in that. Mm-hmm. And then when you and I maybe at some stage talk about the nutrition stuff, then you'll realise that there's some more secrets to that as well.
Mark, thank you very much for being on the show. I need people to come away from the show and find you.
Okay.
Where do they find you? What are the best links? Where are you at?
Okay, well, we've got the M10 Fitness Facebook page. We've got www.m10fitness.co.uk on the website. And on the website, there's 3 of my ebook programs that are priced very, very conservatively, and you'll be able to get a lot of tips and tricks on fat loss and muscle building from those. And I'm at M10 Fitness on Twitter.
Nice.
So thank you very much.
Well, if you're listening to this show, it will be in the show notes. If you're listening on YouTube, it will be in the comments section. If you're listening to it on iTunes, it will be in the comments section again there. Look, everyone, if you enjoyed the show, don't just go away and let this information waft out your head. Apply it, think about it, explore it, follow some of Mark's work, follow some people that look at psychology, NLP, business. Start to explore why the things that you're not getting out of your training, your nutrition, your business, your personal development, find out why that stuff isn't happening and try and look into it. We didn't ramble on about this stuff for an hour for no good reason. So if you enjoyed the show, please give it a share on Facebook, Twitter, leave us a review on iTunes or our new Android and cross-platform Stitcher. Please go and check out Mark's work, and hopefully at some point in the future, me and Mark will meet again and we'll talk about some of that training and nutrition stuff.
Good stuff.
All right, Mark. Take care.
Thanks, Ben.
To everyone else listening, me and Rachel will be back next week with another Q&A filled podcast. Ciao. Hey everyone, Ben Coomber Radio podcast number 95. I'm with the elegant, beautiful, if you're watching on YouTube, bandana upped, branded up, Rachel Guy.